Good morning, everybody, and this is your Dow Jones day trade setup for today. So I just want to kick off on the weekly because this is pretty similar to the DAX. You can see all the buyers coming in here on the weekly, and they're sort of looking for value in that area. So if I come back to the 8-hour, you'll see we're kind of off the bottom of that structure. So that's 34,394, and right at the end is 33,473. So 33,500, somewhere around there. That is where the buyers are seeing value. So we don't have much structure to the downside. There is sort of quite a bit of, how do I put it, a lot of tails here if you look to the left on the 8-hour, and obviously all of these tails are going to offer some form of value to different people, and it depends how many people actually find value. So the other thing I just want to highlight here is we have a trend line which does look like it's broken with a gap up, but this is a weekly gap, and it's the start of the week, so it's a weekly gap up. I suspect that'll get closed, so more than likely you'll get some sellers coming in for another leg down to move it back into closing that gap. The other thing that I want to have in this morning is my triangle. So remember, when you get a consolidation triangle like this, price often breaks up, but it comes back to test the apex. Where would the apex be? Pretty much right where the gap is. So the apex, obviously, where the two trend lines cross each other. So let's just get down to the hour. That's what we're interested in at the moment. For all intents and purposes, this has been sideways. Does look like we have a break above. Oh, it's not quite a break. It's just a retest of Friday's high. And that is the moral of the story. I'm just going to get rid of these trend lines. Not a fan of diagonal trend lines. So we are sideways. And if you're awake, you'll see shoulder, head, shoulder. So I would expect this gap to close. I'd much prefer to see this gap close. It does look like we're getting a bit of a crossover here. So would be fairly textbook price action. Rejection of the 155 EMA down, come and close a gap, have a crossover the moving averages, bounce off the gap here for an attempt to break through. So that's the structure I'm looking for. First, a retest, close the gap, 34,600. Maybe tempted for a small long there with a stop below the low of Friday, and with an anticipation of this head and shoulders breakout. But small risk, small position, because it's still a range and we are going sideways. So, the higher probability is obviously a move to the bottom of the range. So unless we get a break and a retest here, that validates this pattern. So that's kind of my wait and see at the moment. It's pretty much on all the indexes right now. Just wait for the structure to see what's transpiring. We should see something moving shortly. I think all the noise is out the way, and people are digesting the new COVID variant. So we'll have to wait and see what transpires. Okay, so I'm sitting on my hands and waiting. I want to see a gap close, and then I want to see structure forming. If we see structure forming at the gap close, well worth a punt, and I'm going to emphasize that it'll be a punt. So basically put your coins in and pull the handle, but you'll have a stop loss below the low of Friday. Pull back, start forming structure, nice opportunity to buy, stop below here, just anticipate a break of the head and shoulders. And if that transpires, what you're looking for is a 800-point move to the upside. So let's get it to somewhere around 35,650. And that also makes sense, because if you look to the left, it's typically the first area of a gap. You see there is a gap up there that we need to close as well. So typically what happens is price gets to the underside of the gap, which is there, then bounces down, finds some support probably on one of these levels that you can see here, and then bounces up to make an attempt to close a gap. So that's the way price works. So everything is pointing to that at the moment. So yeah, wait and see. Let's see if we first need the weekly gap to close before we start making any decisions. Get the weekly gap close, and we start getting some structure here. Well worth the effort to put in along for a move up here. And that if you take it from here, is going to be 300-point risk. So that's why your position size is going to be small. And you're looking for 1,000-point gain ultimately. So, well worth waiting for. And that's what we'll be doing. Hope it helps. And we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning. Cheers for now.